tell my team we are doing very badly. And if we are not careful, we are going to lose the match. And the tragedy is that the analogy only stops there, because the members of my team are so opinionated that they are no longer listening to the coaches. And that is the tragedy. But we cannot stop to exhort them to listen, because we have the vantage point of being on the ground. They live in a bubble and they think that they know it all. That is the tragedy of the team that we have, who have the honor and privilege of running the affairs of this country. And if you permit me perhaps to go ahead of myself, look at the single issue of the floods that occurred in Nairobi. When I listen to the governor in titbits trying to say, it is not my responsibility, whose responsibility is it? It is the duty of those who occupy office to take responsibility. That is why I think one American president once said, the buck stops here, and the buck must stop there. So we are in a bad situation, because we have people who think they have the monopoly of wisdom and are unwilling to listen. And when a country finds itself in such a situation, history tells us that those who arrogate to themselves the monopoly of wisdom and knowledge often lead their countries through shortcuts to chaos.
But they seem to be we almost listen to every word that falls from their mouths, because I guess it's part of the job. But we also need to hear what it is that they're saying. And if yesterday was any example, when we listen to would-be leaders, or even listen to the leaders, not would-be, they are the leaders at the moment, they seem to believe that they have everything together. So if you're saying that the state of the nation is a pretty bad place, the people who are holding the place cards at the moment really believe that they've done. I mean, every time an opportunity is given, the president has said over and over again, we fixed the economy, we fixed education. I laugh at that even as I say it. We fixed education. Okay. We've fixed healthcare. Yesterday morning, if you were here, you may have shed a tear. And I use his name as an example. Michael, when we were talking about healthcare, told us that he has to lie to his doctor about his symptoms, because if he tells his doctor the truth, the doctor would have him go run some more tests so that they could see what's really going on inside. And you know why he lied, PLO? Because he doesn't have the money to go for those extra tests, because he's almost sure that's what his doctor would ask him to do. Not only that, but he's fully paid up for SHA. And they've told him that his SHA has expired and there's nothing he can do.
Those in positions of leadership can say all they want, but let us look at the evidence.
Yes.
Because the evidence is what will speak to the reality. Not so long ago, before the floods, people were losing their animals in northeastern Kenya. Nobody cared about them. And I have families who have lost their cows, their goats, and nobody will compensate them. Right now, as we speak, in the last 1 week, floods have ravaged different parts of the country. It means that people are losing the crops. There is no fertilizer, and what you see in different countries are governors engaged in drama by releasing vehicles to distribute something called fertilizer, whose quality we do not know. Look at the health sector. Every week there is something of a scandal, and what we hear from the Minister for Health and members of that sector of the economy is that everything is fine. They poo-poo what the Auditor General is saying, but the testimonies are different. Look at the education sector. Even the minister does not know whether it should be CBC or CBE. And many people who can are going to the American system, the British system. Ask 90% of members of parliament and senior government officials where their children are going to school. They are not going to this system. ask them where they go when they are sick. They are either going to India or South Africa or Dubai or Germany or in the United States of America. They themselves have no faith in the systems that they are saying are working. Look at the number of individuals whose bills have not been paid by central government, by county governments. Look at the amount of money that at the same time is being spent for entertainment by governors and by the president in the state house. And look at the state of our roads. Look at the state of everything in this country. We have a few individuals who are having it all. It is Thomas Noel Isidore Sankara of Burkina Faso who said, we must make a choice. It is either champagne for a few or water for all. In Kenya, it is champagne and caviar for a very small minority, and it is pain and suffering for the majority. That is the state. So they can say all they want. And what you hear our politicians saying is, we want power. In other parts of the world, nobody just seeks power for power's sake. People seek to serve in order to improve the quality of individuals' lives. It's the only country, one of the few countries in the world where an individual is appointed as a cabinet secretary or a principal secretary, and they spend millions to hold a celebration party under the guise of Thanksgiving, and they attend in helicopters. We are the only country in the world where members of parliament fly in choppers to distribute bursary, and they have spent more money arriving at the venue. Really, it is painful, and the tragedy and the pain at once is that these individuals no longer care. They believe that the Kenyan population is zombified, that the Kenyan population is hypnotized along ethnic lines, and that Kenyan population has short memory, and that when the elections come, what will happen is that they'll just be shooed in. Indeed, you can see that Kenya is treated like a war spoil, and people are saying whether they are going to have the arm or the leg. They are already distributing positions. If it is not the presidency, it is the cabinet ministries or the vice presidencies. They don't care. And it is a tragedy. So they can say all they want, but the evidence is against them. And we are selling everything because the country is technically insolvent. We are the only country in the world where a cabinet minister in charge of treasury says, I made a major announcement which was untrue. In other parts of the world, the individual would resign. But that doesn't happen. It doesn't happen. We are selling our strategic assets. Perhaps it will be better. But the reason why we are doing this is simply because we are running broke. We are not doing well. The investors are not coming into this country because we are in an electioneering mood, and they do not know how the country will pan out, because the politicians are dividing this country into Nilots and Bantus. All institutions, constitutional commissions have been neutered. The Human Rights Commission neutered, national cohesion neutered, parliament neutered. All critical institutions are neutered. We are being ruled through executive fiat. And that executive fiat is evident even in the devolved units. The governors are governing by executive fiat. The president is governing by executive fiat. Institutions have been ignored. You are doing affordable housing and you've ignored the National Housing Corporation, which has existed since 1960. You are doing all these buildings. There is no accompanying infrastructure. And this, we are told, is development. People now visit State House, Nairobi, and then they come out with something they call development. While when we were making the Constitution, we said we did not want any single individual to be the one who